the Urban Field Sack tutorial. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to make this accent triangle. So you're going to fold it in half like that and give it a good press, and then you're going to fold it in half. So I'm having my raw edge come to my raw edge here, just like that, and then you're going to give that a good press. So this is one of my main pieces that I cut out, and all I did was fold it short side to short side, so this is the length here, so I could find the middle. And I've taken this triangular piece, and these are all my raw edges up here. And all I've done is taken the point of this triangle and aligned my raw edge to raw edge and made sure that this was running down the center. So now I'm going to clip, and then I'm just going to top stitch, and then I'm going to top stitch this in place. And then I'm going to do this to the other side as well. So I have two of my main prints, and I'll have two of these. Alright, so this is my lining, and it's right side up, and this is my pocket piece, and all I did was I folded it in half here. Alright, and then I kept the length, and it's a little shorter because you folded it in half. I gave it a good press, and then these right here are my raw edges of the pocket, all right, and they're aligned to the raw edges of the lining. And this is my fold, so this is not a raw edge. So then I took some pins and I pinned it in a few places to hold it down. And then there's a diagram, because this is your pocket piece, to measure in. So I measured in from each side according to the diagram, and I marked it with my friction pen. I measured up from the bottom according to the diagram and marked it with my friction pen. And then I found the halfway point of my piece and I marked that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the sewing machine and I'm going to sew on all of these lines, making sure I back tack at the beginning and the end. And once I'm done with this side, I'm going to take my other lining piece and my other pocket and do the exact same thing to it. So there's what it looks like all done on my sew lines, and the other one looks exactly the same. And then I forgot to show, you could probably use like lining fabric if you want. I just decided to go through green, but there's my top stitching my triangles down. So, alright, so what I have here, these are my casing pieces. There are two of them, and what I've done is I've taken them over to the iron, and each of the raw short ends, I folded it over once, pressed it, and then I folded it over again and pressed it, and I did that to both sides. And then I took this and folded it in half with wrong sides together and gave it a good press. And so this is the outside. This is my main fabric with that triangle piece. And I've evened it out to both sides, so there's a little bit. I trimmed up my main. It's about 1 inch shorter than the pattern said, and then I trimmed up my lining, and I think I forgot to trim these, so they're a little bit longer than they should be, but I'm going to say it'll turn out okay. So I was a little short on fabric, so mine's a little bit 1 inch shorter on each side. But anyway, you should have about 1/2 inch on each side if you have all the correct measurements. So I'm just going to hope that it turns out. Alright, so now what I've done is I've taken my other panel piece that has the pocket, and I put right sides together, and there's the casing piece there. And I have aligned all the raw edges up here, and now I'm going to sew down 1/4 inch all the way down the top, and that will sew all my layers together. This, the casing, and my outer piece. And then I'm going to repeat that to the second side. I did forget to mention this before, but before I sew my second one together, there is the option on the pattern of having fusible interfacing. And at this point, before you stitch every clip and stitch everything together on the outside panel, the one that you attach the triangle to, you would take that optional cut of interfacing, and if you were going to put like lots of heavy stuff in here, or you just wanted it more reinforced, you would fuse that fusible interfacing to the bottom. Okay, so this is the bottom of my exterior panel. I'm not going to do that, but if you want to, that is optional at this point before you stitch everything together, or even after you stitch things together, you can still do it because this side isn't attached to that side, so you can just open it up and fuse it. So, alright, So now after that's all done, there's the casing in the middle. You open each piece and you lay exterior side to exterior side, okay? And pocket side to pocket side, all right? So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clip all the way around this piece, and on this side where my exterior is, I'm gonna mark out an opening according to the pattern, how much I need, because that's where we're gonna be turning it inside out. After we've sewn it all together. So I'm going to mark my opening, and then I'm going to start here and just stitch all the way around until I get to my opening again, and making sure I back tack at the beginning and the end to reinforce that, because when you turn it inside out you don't want these stitches to pull. So now that I've got it sewn together, I went to each corner and I marked out a square according to the diagram, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to cut that square out of each corner, because I'm going to make boxed corners after I cut them out. Alright, so to create the box, all you're going to do is you're going to want to bring this seam to this seam. So you just grab each side of your material, pull it, and once you do that, it'll stretch out, and then you can see the back seam, the top seam, and then you can just nestle those together by folding one the opposite way, just like that. And if you want to clip more, you can. You're just going to align everything else, but once those are all aligned, then you're just going to sew down here, okay, probably 1/4 of an inch seam, I'm assuming, and then that will create your boxed corner, and you're going to do that to each of the 4 corners. Alright, so that's what it looks like, and I've done that to all of them. So now what you're going to do is you're going to go find that opening that you left at the bottom, and you're going to reach all the way in, and you are going to turn everything inside out, and then you're going to probably just want to put your fingers inside and make sure that you really poke out or smooth out those boxed corners. So sorry, I get so caught up in doing something I forget. I'm not on the camera anymore. So, and you can see there that the seam's aligned pretty well for me. And now I'm going to come back to this opening, and I am just going to, now you can press this too if you want, you can pin it, I'm not going to, but if you're uncomfortable just doing it like this, I would recommend pinning or clipping or even pressing to hold it. So the fabric is just folded under here, and I've, you know, when I pull it, it makes a nice straight seam. You can even trim that. I'm going to tuck that in, and I'm just going to top stitch that opening closed. Alright, so there it is. It is sewn closed, and now I'm going to just Alright, so that's my outside, that's my inside, so I'm going to tuck my inside in. Alright, so just a few things, and I'll make mention of this before. I had said at the point where my casing, they weren't quite and 1/2 inch shorter on each side than they should have been, and I thought I'd get away with it, but I did not. I actually had to go back in and rip it open and shorten my casings a little bit. They were too long, so they got actually stitched into the seam when I was sewing everything together. So make sure your casings are 1/2 inch at least shorter than the sides when you are at that part, and I'll mention it in the video again. And then I left my opening on the exterior, and I don't know why I did that. I've made many bags before, but I got done sewing it, and then I thought to myself, this shouldn't be on the outside, it should be on the inside. So when you are marking out your opening, make sure you mark out the opening in that step on the pocket piece, at the bottom of the pocket pieces, so that way when you sew it closed, everything is inside the bag. But you know what? I'm going to roll with it. And now I'm going to take this and stuff it inside, and I've got the casing now, and what I'm going to do is I am just going to go ahead and I am going to So there's the top. Now I'm just going to nestle everything together, make sure my lining and my outside are fine, and then I'm just going to top stitch all the way around. Top stitch all the way around. Okay, and then we'll go on to the drawstring. So here I'm putting my drawstring through, and I'm using this bodkin. I've not used it before. I just received it in my ambassador box, but I just put it through one side, and so easy. I just opened this up. I clipped in the end of my drawstring, and I folded it down, and I want to make sure that it's not getting twisted, but the pattern has, you can go to the person's site who made the pattern, and she has a tutorial for making the drawstring, so that's what I did. And I'm just inserting the first one now, and then I just put this through my case opening like this, and it's a perfect fit. If it were any smaller, it wouldn't fit, but this actually fits really well, and it's super easy to just glide in there, and then it's going to come out of the other side just like this, and much faster than and ta-da, much faster than a safety pin, and it holds it pretty good. So now I'm just going to unclip it like that, and now I'm going to work on attaching these two pieces, and then I have another drawstring to put through to bring out the other side. Alright, so now I'm going to put the other one through, and I'm just going to open up the bodkin here and clip it on my drawstring just like that, secure it down, and now it's going to go, just have to think where it has to go. I'll go this way. So it should fit pretty well in there, even with the casing I've already put inside, and it goes really nice and smooth. It's going to come out this side. Sorry, I forgot to sew that down, so there we go. Just leave a little tail, and then turn it to the other side, put it in, and slide it all the way through. Now you can use string. I just followed the directions and made the my fabric drawstring. There it goes, and out it comes like that. And I'm pulling pretty good, and I pulled pretty good to get it through, and it did not come off. So now I'm going to loosen up, and I'm just going to attach these two ends, and I will be all done with my drawstring. Alright, so here it is. This is the Urban Field Sack. Again, I accidentally left the opening on the exterior instead of on the interior. If you open it up, it's got 4 pockets in there for you to use, and it's got the drawstrings here, so if you pull the drawstrings, it'll close up just like that. So ended up being a really cute bag, and again, it's called the Urban Field Sack.